Hello everyone, welcome back to Study Field Education. Today we are going to learn about the emergence of iron in the Indian subcontinent. We are going to learn about the pre-iron age as well as how did iron emerge in the Indian subcontinent. We are going to learn about different pottery traditions like black and red ware pottery, painted grey ware pottery, northern black polished ware pottery traditions, and many more. And we are going to learn about these pottery traditions in detail and their relation with the Iron Age. We are also going to learn about the role that iron plays in the second urbanization. So, first urbanization था Harappan cities. So, the development of Harappan cities and the Indus Valley civilization was considered to be the first अर्बनाइजेशन बट सेकेंड अर्बनाइजेशन इंडिया में कैसे हुआ कहाँ हुआ क्यों हुआ scholars believe that because there was development in the iron technology with the advent of iron second urbanization took place in India. Emergence of iron created monumentous changes and we are going to learn about those changes, and because of those changes we see a rise in the urban centers in the Indian subcontinent. Now let us learn about the pre-iron age culture. So what are these pre-iron age cultures? These are one of the pre-iron age culture. Chalcolithic culture is one of the pre-iron age culture. So before we study the iron phase, it is necessary that हम pre-iron age cultures को पढ़े so that we can understand the transition from bronze age or copper age to the iron age. So Chalcolithic culture is one of them. So we'll learn about some characteristics of the Chalcolithic culture. So in this phase, in this culture, we see that copper tools were used along with stone tools. This was basically a rural culture. And these cultures are distinguished on the basis of their pottery traditions and on the basis of in which region they are found. So there are various Chalcolithic cultures like these. Banas culture, Kayath culture, Malwa, Chorve, Prabhas, Savalda. These are different Chalcolithic cultures and they have different belonging to the different time period. So these different chalcolithic cultures, we differentiate between them on the basis of the type of pottery that has been found in these particular regions. So what are these regions? So you can locate on the map that Ahar culture is located in the Rajasthan, Kayatha and Malwa culture is located in the Madhya Pradesh, and Jorve culture is in the below the central Indian belt. This is, we can also see the Ahar culture here, this region above Gujarat. We see that this whole region is known as the Ahar culture. We can see Jorve here, we can see Ahar, we can see Kayatha, and we can see different types of Chalcolithic culture. So we know that in Chalcolithic cultures, there is copper and stone tools, both are used, and in these areas, in these different Chalcolithic culture, we see that the number of settlement is increasing and different type of potteries are made on fast wheel. So we see wheel pottery. We see wheel pottery. These Banas culture, Kayath culture, Marwa, and all these culture, they are prominent. These are the prominent non-Harappan Chalcolithic, non-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures. We see that Chalcolithic people, they practiced hunting, gathering, farming, and animal domestication, and we see that they used large number of microliths as well as agriculture microliths plus agriculture implements. So what are these agriculture implements? Microliths हमें पता है small tools, but agriculture implements are querns, mullers. And how did these people live? So they lived in huts. वो हट्स में रहते थे. उन्होंने मड ब्रिक का इस्तेमाल किया एंड दे हैड डिफाइंड बरियल प्रैक्टिसेस. सो व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय defined burial practices? So when we say that a culture has a defined burial practices, so paid uh, uh, they paid attention to how they are burying their dead. They had specific patterns. So in this Chalcolithic cultures, the burial goods indicated the presence of stratified rank in the society. So how did they present this? So people belonging to different strata of the society or different rank of the society, they were buried differently. Chalcolithic people also engaged in regional and trans-regional trade. Unlike the Harappan culture, they were not based on surplus production. मतलब these Chalcolithic culture, these non-Harappan Chalcolithic culture, इनके यहाँ पे कुछ इतना surplus production नहीं था, कुछ extensive trading networks नहीं थे. They didn't specialize in any type of crafts. They didn't have writing. They didn't have elaborate drainage system. So why are these Chalcolithic cultures so important? They are important because they represent early farming communities in non-Harappan India. So हमने Harappan farming communities and Harappan civilization पे बहुत फोकस है, बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ा, बट जो there were several non-Harappan countries during that same period of time. So these were the Chalcolithic cultures were the non-Harappan countries, non-Harappan communities, and they were non-urban culture. We see in these Chalcolithic culture, there is evident they have well-made pottery. They grew different types of crops. They had fine copper tool, and another reason why these Chalcolithic cultures are to study them is very important because they laid down the base. Like उन्होंने नींव रखी for the agriculture surplus and urbanism in the 6th century BC. सो जब आयरन आया और आयरन की वजह से एग्रीकल्चर सरप्लस और अर्बनिज्म जो हमें 6th सेंचुरी बीसी में दिखना पड़ता है, उसकी नींव इन चाल्कोलिथिक कल्चर से ही हुई. सो देर इज नेवर इन हिस्ट्री, देर इज नेवर अ सडन the transformation is never sudden. It takes hundreds of years for agriculture to develop an agriculture surplus, to develop agriculture technology. So जो नींव है आयरन एज की, और जब हम एग्रीकल्चर सरप्लस देखते हैं, ज्यादा अर्बनिज्म देखते हैं, the nave of the base of those urbanism of the 6th century BC we see is laid down by these Chalcolithic cultures. These Chalcolithic sites were deserted around मतलब कुछ sites 700 BC तक रहती हैं. जैसे जॉर्वे कल्चर है, we see that it lasted up to 700 BC, but around 1000 BC we see that many of these Chalcolithic sites were deserted. So now let us look at the copper hoards. So why is there a problem with copper hoards? So पहले हम पढ़ेंगे कि copper hoards क्या होते हैं. तो एक्सीडेंटली जब आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट को एक ही साइट पे एक ही डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन मतलब डिफरेंट लेयर्स ऑफ अर्थ पे, मतलब डिफरेंट लेयर्स ऑफ सॉइल पे, डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटिग्राफिकल लेयर्स पे जब उन्हें बहुत सारे कॉपर ऑब्जेक्ट्स एक साथ मिल जाते हैं एक्सकेवेशन के दौरान, तो उन्हें कॉपर होड्स बोलते हैं. सो वो कॉपर ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्या होते हैं? दीज कॉपर ऑब्जेक्ट्स कैन बी harpoons, spearheads, they can be anthropomorphs, they can be shouldered cells. So different types of copper objects जब मिलते हैं, and these copper objects are made up of pure copper. So इनको copper hoards बोलते हैं. Presently we have more than 100 copper hoard sites in different parts of India. Copper hoards, as we know, are made up of pure copper, and the technique through which these copper hoards are made is कास्टिंग टेक्निक होती है, एज वेल एज जो मेटल कॉपर मेटल जो शीट होती है उसको हैमरिंग करके they make these different types of copper object. So what are these objects, these spearheads, harpoons, everything? What were they used for? So we know that they were used for hunting, fishing, and clearing the jungle. But we know that these objects are not for day-to-day activities. How do we know that? क्योंकि जो ये copper objects है, they are very heavy. So we know that they were not used by people for their day-to-day activities. These tools, these copper objects, they are very sophisticated. So we know that they were so sophisticated that we know that they could not have been part of an ordinary culture. So they belong to a particular culture, but archaeologists cannot point to which culture, because एक stratigraphical layer में नहीं पाए जाते. They are found in different stratigraphical layer with different type of potteries. But the what is the confusion? So there is a confusion regarding ownership. Who owned these? Who made these? So some scholars कहते हैं कि some scholars associated them with the Harappan culture, while some scholars associated them with the Vedic people. Scholars and some scholars say that it is possible that after the decline of Harappan civilization, the late Harappan people they moved eastward. We have studied that how there is an eastward shift in population and settlement after the decline of Harappan civilization. So some scholars are saying that after the decline of Harappan civilization, in the late Harappan period, जब लोगों ने eastward spread and move होना चालू किया, they introduced copper technology in those local areas, and that is why we find such copper hoards. This is one theory. Now let us learn about the origin of iron technology. So there are two types of theories. First is that some scholars say that first is the monocentric theory, in which scholars say that iron का origin एक ही जगह पे हुआ, iron metallurgy. This is iron metallurgy is a very complex process. इसलिए हम उसका origin पढ़ने की कोशिश करते हैं, because इतना complex process develop करने के लिए भी बहुत time लगा होगा, बहुत skills चाहिए होगी. सो सम स्कॉलर्स कहते हैं कि ये जो प्रोसेस है ये एक जगह स्टार्ट हुआ एंड देन it diffused it this process, this technology, it diffused to different places. This is the monocentric theory which is now being questioned. Like ये theory उतनी valid अभी नहीं है, because now scholars believe that metallurgy developed independently. Different regions in India, this iron metallurgy, it developed independently and have different centers of origin. So we have two theories, monocentric and independent origin in different sites of iron. So we believe that iron developed in India in different centers individually. It is well established because when we read Rig Veda, we know that in Rig Veda we see no mention of the knowledge of iron. So we can infer from the Rig Vedic text that iron technology was not known at during that period. हम लोग को लिटरेरी टेक्स्ट में आयरन का मेंशन कब मिलता है? अर्ली बुद्धिस्ट लिटरेचर में एंड कौटिल्यस अर्थशास्त्र. इन दो टेक्स्ट में वी फाइंड द अर्लीस्ट रेफरेंस टू आयरन स्मिथिंग इन इंडिया. द अहर चाल्कोलिथिक पीरियड, जिसके बारे में अभी हमने पढ़ा, द अहर पीरियड गिव एविडेंस ऑफ सेवरल आयरन आर्टिफैक्ट्स. द पेंटेड ग्रेवे कल्चर रिपोर्टेड आयरन फ्रॉम सेवरल साइट्स एंड वी फाउंड दैट जो इंडियन मेगालिथिक कल्चर है सदर्न इंडिया में, वहां पे भी बहुत सारे आयरन ऑब्जेक्ट्स मिले. The northern black polished ware culture and the Shunga Kushana period have also identified, we have also seen iron during these culture, during these period. It is possible, now we know that it is possible that iron metallurgy, क्योंकि हमें इतने different cultures that belong to different time periods, जैसे northern black polished ware है, painted grey ware है, these were, and the megalithic culture of southern India. So these are different cultures and they were found during different time periods, and they all had iron technology, different level. Some had primitive technology, some had very advanced technology. So we know that iron didn't originate in just one place. It has different centers of origin. And black and red ware culture, painted grey ware culture, northern black polished ware culture, and the megalithic culture are very important when we study the Iron Age. So these all these culture, they are associated with the Iron Age. Iron was found either as a byproduct of copper smelting, or it was extracted separately and developed parallel to copper smelting. This is also a theory that how the iron technology developed. Either it is that जब copper smelting हो रहा था तो because copper preceded iron culture. So जब copper smelting हो रहा था तो they realized that the byproduct of copper smelting we can make more objects from that. That is how iron technology developed. और copper smelting के साथ साथ parallelly people developed the iron technology. But all these culture, the black red ware culture, painted grey ware, northern black polished ware, megalithic culture, they are very important for to study the advent of iron technology. So let us now see the black and red ware culture. So the black and red ware culture is represented by a distinct type of pottery. सो ये डिस्टिंक्ट टाइप ऑफ पॉटरी क्यों है और इसको ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर क्यों कहा जाता है? क्योंकि जो फायरिंग होती है जब भट्टी में जब पॉटरी को रखते हैं और वो गर्म होके जब वो फाइनली पॉटरी वो क्ले हार्ड होके पॉटरी बनता है, तो वो क्या करते हैं, जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं उनको उल्टा रखते हैं. सो और उनकी फायरिंग टेक्निक ऐसे होती है कि इट हैज ब्लैक कलर ऑन द इनसाइड. एज यू कैन सी, दिस इज द ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर. So it has black color on the inside and red color on the outside. So उनकी फायरिंग टेक्निक ऐसी होती है एंड इसलिए इस टाइप की पॉटरी को ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर बोला जाता है, बिकॉज इट इज ब्लैक फ्रॉम द इनसाइड एंड रेड फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड. Excavations at Atranji Kheda and No have revealed a sandwich-like pattern. What is the sandwich-like pattern? So excavation जब ये दो sides पे की गई थी तो we find that the black redware pottery is somewhere between the ochre color pottery and the painted ware. So at the lowest strata, सबसे नीचे वाले strata में we find the ochre color pottery. This is the ochre color pottery. उसके बाद वी फाइंड द अनदर स्ट्रेटा, जो उसके ऊपर है, वी फाइंड द ब्लैक रेडवेयर पॉटरी. एंड उसके ऊपर सबसे ऊपर वी फाइंड द पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर पॉटरी. सो इन दीज टू साइड्स हमको ऐसे सैंडविच लाइक एग्जिस्टेंस दिखता है पॉटरी का. बट देर आर सम अदर साइड्स लाइक अहिछत्रा एंड हस्तिनापुर. why these sites are very important? because इन साइड्स पे साइमल्टेनियसली एक ही लेयर पे पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर पॉटरी भी और ब्लैक रेडवेयर पॉटरी, ये दोनों को एग्जिस्ट करती हैं एक ही टाइम पे. एंड फ्रॉम दिस ब्लैक एंड रेडवेयर कल्चर we know that we have evidence of iron has been reported from this site. No. Now let us study the megalithic culture. So what does megalithic mean? So we know that mega means large and lithic means stone. So the megalithic culture is a period where big stones were erected to mark burial sites like these. It was Colonel Meadows Taylor. He was the first person who conducted an extensive exploration in the Shorapur Doab of Karnataka and wrote on megalithics. After that, excavations at Brahmagiri were carried out, and Sir Mortimer Wheeler established the importance of megaliths in the Indian archaeology. So we have to remember these two names, Sir Mortimer Wheeler and Meadows Taylor. So when we see the distribution, the megalithics are spread across the Indian subcontinent. We find them in southern Uttar Pradesh, in the Vindhyas, in Maharashtra, in southern India. We see them in the Singhbhum region of Bihar. Here they represent separate culture and they are not associated with iron. So पहले हम मेगालिथिक कल्चर के बारे में पढ़े, उससे पहले हम डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ मेगालिथ्स को जान लेते कि what are the different structures of these megaliths. So we know that these megaliths, they were erected in the memory of the dead, usually over the earth's surface, and we know there are seven types of megalith structure. So what are these seven types of megalithic structure? Menhir, dolmenoid, topical, kudaikal, cairn circle, multiple hood stone alignment, and sacrifice. So we are going to study all these structures in details. Are we clear about the megaliths? The megaliths are the large stone cultures where huge stones were erected in the memory of the dead. So first we'll see the first type of megalith, that is menhir. So this is a menhir. Menhir is an upright stone standing alone or in alignment with others. So this stone is just standing alone and it is found in Kerala and Chitrakoot district of UP. So this is one type of megalith. Then this is dolmen. This is another type of megalithic structure. Dolmen मतलब table of stones. तो इसमें एक टेबल जैसा स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट होता है, ऐसे स्टोन टेबल जैसा. वी हैव 4 स्टोन स्लैब्स एंड वो ऐसे बॉक्स जैसे बना देते हैं ये स्टोन स्लैब्स एंड दे आर कवर्ड विद अ फ्लैट केपिंग stone. So this is the flat capping stone and these are the 4 stone slabs. So ये एक टेबल जैसा स्ट्रक्चर बना देते हैं, इसलिए इस मेगालिथ स्ट्रक्चर को हम डॉलमेन बोलते हैं. These are found in Vindhyas and they are frequently found in Brahmagiri, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Now we'll look at the umbrella stone. This is the umbrella stone or it is known as topi kal. So these megaliths have an umbrella like structure as you can clearly see and इसको topicals भी बोला जाता है local language में because it looked like an umbrella. So these type of megaliths are found in Aryanur and Cheramanangad in Kerala. Now let us look at hood stone. So जो hood stone है, they are similar to topikal. As you can see, this is the topikal and this is the hood stone. But here there is a big dome shaped stone which is placed over the ground surface. इसमें वो dome shaped एक stone है उसके ऊपर रखा हुआ था, इसमें ये dome shape just ground पे रखा हुआ है, इसको बोलते हैं hood stone. It looks like a snake hood and these were supposed to cover the pit burials and they are found in the Kerala region. So these were the burials and इसमें वो pit को cover करने के लिए the megalithic people, they used to place such big stones. Now let us see the cairn circle. It is known as the cairn circle. So these are found within stone structure and in this type of megalith, a pit of around 3.5 meter diameter, मतलब इतना बड़ा diameter का एक pit खोदा जाता है for the funeral and peripheral मतलब एकदम कोने कोने में stone blocks are placed in the circular form like this. Periphery मतलब कोने में, तो stone blocks are placed in the periphery in a circular form and these stone blocks can show and they represent sometimes different burials. So इधर भी एक burial है, इधर these are different burials and they are marked by different stones. These type of burials are found in Chitradurg and Gulbarga district in the southern India. Now let us see rock cut cave. So these are not the megalithic rock cut cave. It's a Buddhist cave, but this is the photo I found. So these are rock cut caves. These are made of laterite stones. So ये जो cave होती है, इस cave में ही सीढ़ियाँ खोद के and pit खोद के they make these elaborate structures within the cave. And ये cave तभी बन सकती है if they have iron tools because it requires cutting of a rock. And so जो ये जो rock है, it was cut in different areas to form a cave. After creating a door like this, the inside chamber was created with a rectangular rock-cut pillar in the dome shape. These caves provided central opening to the roof to offer grave goods to the dead. So this is a Buddhist rock-cut caves. You won't get that much idea, but this is our rock-cut caves. The rocks in the mountains are cut and elaborate structures are created within. But during the megalithic period, they created this for the dead. So they used to store the grave goods for the dead. And the final form of megalith is the sarcophagi. It was a terracotta coffin. So this is a terracotta coffin and it is made for children. So it's although it's very small in size, but because it is made for children. So there are three types of sarcophagi. There are legged coffins like this. This is a legged coffin. It has different legs. There is circular coffin and there is elongated urn burials. Legged coffins are terracotta boxes. This is a legged coffin and it is a terracotta box and it has animal-like legs at the bottom. So these terracotta boxes are fired well in order to give them the strength to the sarcophagi. These type of megaliths are found in Brahmagiri and Maski region in the southern India. So can you recall all the 7 megaliths types that are found in India? Can you name all those 7? If you can, then you can write them in the comment box. These are the different megalithic sites of India. So, on the basis of evidence of the megalithic culture of the South India and the Deccan, this megalithic culture can be placed between 1000 to 100 BCE. Now, what does these megalithic cultures have to do with iron? So, we'll now study about the relationship megalithic cultures के बीच में and iron के बीच में. So, जब हम इन megalithic cultures को closely ध्यान से पढ़ते हैं, तो we see that these megalithic cultures, they are associated with the beginning of the use of iron in the southern India. However, we cannot say that megalithic culture मतलब iron age. We cannot उनको दोनों को साथ में नहीं ले सकते, but there are various sites of the megalithic culture in which we find that iron का जो use है वो start हो रहा है. We find different type of tools for the megalithic barrier. So there are 33 types of iron tools that have been identified from the megalithic burial. So जो जितनी burial sites हमने देखी 7 types of megalithic burial sites, इनसे हमें different 33 types of iron tools मिले हैं. और वो iron tools कैसे कैसे हैं? Hose, sickle, axes, which can be used for agriculture purposes. We know chisel मिला है. Chisels are used for artisanal activity. Swords, daggers, spears, arrowheads, ये सब जो hunting के लिए यूज सकते हैं, ये सब मिले हैं हमें megalithic site से. Evidence from megalithic site of Naikund and Vidarbha. So this is the Naikund and Vidarbha is in the southern Maharashtra region. Somewhere here we find the Vidarbha region. So Naikund or Vidarbha region से iron smelting furnace have been found. So remember this region. Then Iron slag in large quantities have been found from the Payampalli in Tamil Nadu. So this is the Payampalli region in Tamil Nadu where iron slag बड़े बड़े अमाउंट में आयरन स्लैग मिला है. This indicate that iron smelting was a local activity and this region, ये तमिलनाडु का जो ये region है, it is very rich in iron ore. From the northern India, we see that there is a site named Kakoria. इधर से कोई iron tool नहीं मिला है. Hence, जो मेगालिथिक कल्चर काकोरिया में है, हम उसको चाल्कोलिथिक कल्चर से एसोसिएटेड करते हैं, rather than iron कल्चर से. Various items of gold, silver, copper, and bronze. They have also been found from these megalithic sites, but जो gold, copper, silver इन सब ऑब्जेक्ट्स है बहुत ही कम अमाउंट में, बहुत कम स्केल पे मिले हैं. Beads of semi-precious stones such as agate, carnelian shell, and horns were also used in these megalithic culture. So now let us learn about the megalithic life phase. जो megalithic culture में जो लोग रहते थे वो कैसे रहते थे. So ये जो megalithic sites है, they are found near sources of water, stone, iron and other metals. So जितनी भी sites है इंडिया में, ये जितनी भी sites है, they are near sources of the water and इन सब sites में iron abundant amount में मिलता है. These megalithic cultures were primarily rural in nature. Primarily rural in nature, where agriculture and animal husbandry were major mode of subsistence. So what were their mode of subsistence? Agriculture plus animal husbandry. Grains of rice, barley and grams have been found from their burial sites. So agriculture में we can write rice, gram and barley. And animal husbandry. So they domesticated different types of animals like cow, buffalo, sheep, horse and goat. So from the archaeological evidence we know that these types of animals were domesticated and these type of grains were cultivated. From megalithic burial sites, archaeologists have found large amount of iron tools, black and red ware pottery, beads and semi-precious stones, ornaments. These like ornaments like bangle, necklace, rings. These are all have been found from different megalithic sites. Many a time, more than one person was buried in a single burial. This indicates that they believed in life after death. Some type of communal effort is assumed in the construction of megaliths as dealing with big stones is a very onerous task. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? They had a communal relation. The people in the megalithic culture, they had this feeling of community because these megalithic स्टोन स्ट्रक्चर्स इनको बनाना, मेगालिथिक बरियल साइट्स को बनाना एक आदमी का काम नहीं हो सकता. इट रिक्वायर्स अ group effort to build such huge structures. So they had some kind of communal effort. Now let us look at the painted grey ware culture in India. Painted grey ware cultures have been found we associated with iron, but not all painted grey ware sites have iron. Sites like Ghagar and Hakra. Sites like Ghagar and Hakra. So this is the Ghagar Hakra river and sites which are near this river in this region, Ghagar Hakra region, we have found them without iron. Whereas sites in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. So this is the Ganga Yamuna Doab. जो इधर sites है, they have given evidence of iron. So in painted grey ware culture, not all the sites have given the evidence of iron. But the Iron Age in the northern India is broadly associated with this culture, the painted grey ware culture. So what does painted grey ware culture mean? So इस culture में एक distinct type of pottery पाई जाती है which is grey in color and it is decorated by black design. So this is a painted grey ware. This is how their pottery looks like. The painted graver tradition. Pehli pottery of this tradition was discovered in this site, Ahi Chhatra. Can you locate this site? It is in the Bareilly district of Uttar Pradesh. And in 1940 इसमें से पहली painted graver pottery मिलती है. Now, at the present time, we have more than 100 archaeological sites of this culture. But the first site that was discovered was Ahi Chhatra. Painted graver sites are found in Uttar Pradesh, northern Rajasthan, as well as northeastern India. Major sites of painted graver culture. Now let us see if you can locate in the map. Major sites are Hastinapur, Kaushambi. Kaushambi is here. Then there is Vaishali, a site named Vaishali in Bihar. It's not in this map. Then there is Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Then there is Ropar. This is Ropar. This site is located in Punjab. Then there is a site No in Rajasthan. And there is this site Bhagwanpura in Haryana. So these are the different painted graver sites. These painted graver sites are more prominent in the Upper Ganga Valley. So this is the Upper Ganga Valley region, and we see that many sites, most of the sites are from this region. The painted graveware was an iron using rural culture. It is very important. The painted graveware culture was an iron using rural culture. आगे जाके हम लोग रूरल और अर्बन में डिफरेंस देखेंगे. लाइक हाउ डू वी नो दैट अर्बनाइजेशन अ रीजन वाज अर्बन. So when we say a region is urban, we know that there were cities and towns. So in rural areas we have villages, but in urban areas we have cities and towns. So what makes a region urban? We'll learn about that later in this lecture. So the painted graveware was an iron using rural culture which was spread across the river bank. Now the pottery type. This is the painted graver pottery, and it was made on fast wheel. It was very well fired, and the entire painted graver assemblage is homogeneous with a few regional variation. मतलब most of the sites में the pottery is same. कुछ regions में we see variation. Painted graver pottery carried geometric designs. So can you see these geometric designs on the potteries? Lines, crisscross, circles, dots, semicircles. Swastika has also been depicted on some of the pottery. These decorations are made on the outer surface. Sorry. These decorations, they are made on the outer surface and they are matte black in color. These people, the people of the painted graver culture, they were expert in firing technique and they achieved a uniform gray color. So they were expert potters. How do we know that? Because the pottery, the firing technique that they use was very well, and the color, the gray color of the pottery, it is uniform. So in different sites, we find the same gray color pottery. So let us see the chronology. So we know that Achitra, Ahishatra was the first site that was discovered, but the earliest dates of this pottery are reported from Ataranji Kheda, and No, and they date back to 11th and 9th century BCE respectively. So Atranji Kheda mein we see that a pottery which dates back to 11th century BCE, and No mein a pottery that dates back to 9th century BCE. But approximate जो डेट हम इसका निकालेंगे पेंटेड ग्रेवे कल्चर का, इट इज बिटवीन 1000 to 600 BCE. अप्रोक्सीमेट डेट याद कर सकते हैं, जैसे ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर का है 1000 to 100 BCE एंड पेंटेड ग्रेवे कल्चर का है 1000 to 600 BCE. सारे कल्चर्स का अप्रोक्सीमेट डेट याद करना, एवरी इंडिविजुअल साइट का डेट याद करने की जरूरत नहीं, जस्ट एन अप्रोक्सीमेट डेट इज इनफ. The painted grey culture represents a well-developed rural life. Surplus production is indicated by the discovery of round and square storage bins. So we know that इस culture में the agriculture, in the agriculture area there was surplus. How do we know that? Because हमें यहाँ पे storage bins मिलते हैं to store the grains. Agriculture, as we know, was the main mode of subsistence. Animal husbandry, fishing was also practiced, and the main crops that were cultivated during this period were rice and barley. Wheat does not appear to be a popular food grain. Now, what kind of animals were domesticated? So, cows and horse were the main domesticated animals. How do we know? Because bones of horses have been recovered from the excavations in Hastinapur. जो आयरन इम्प्लीमेंट्स हमें पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर कल्चर में मिलते हैं, दे आर मोस्टली रिलेटेड टू हंटिंग एंड वॉरफेयर. सो डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ आयरन ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो इस कल्चर से मिलते हैं, दे आर रिलेटेड टू हंटिंग and warfare. So what are these objects? Spearhead, blades, daggers and arrowheads. These are the iron objects that were found from the painted graveware culture. But in the northern black polished ware culture, which we are going to learn वेरी सून, इसके बाद जब हम नदन ब्लैकवेयर पॉलिशवेयर कल्चर पढ़ेंगे, तो वी सी दैट आयरन एग्रीकल्चर इम्प्लीमेंट्स में इंक्रीज होता है. सो वन ऑफ द डिस्टिंक्शन यू कैन राइट दैट इन पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर कल्चर जो आयरन ऑब्जेक्ट्स है, दे आर मोस्टली रिलेटेड टू हंटिंग एंड वॉरफेयर. And in the northern blackware culture, we see that agriculture implements dominate the iron objects. Now, people here lived in mud brick houses. They used baked bricks, but baked bricks were not that popular. मतलब भगवानपुरा एक साइट है जहाँ पे थोड़ी baked bricks मिलती हैं, but इतनी popular नहीं. Semi-precious stones such as lapis lazuli, jasper, agate have been recovered from many sites, but there is no evidence of coin. No evidence of coin. The people of this period must have been they engaged in barter system where they exchange goods for goods in return. Some basic site hierarchy is suggested in the research. Most painted graveware sites were found to be smaller than 5 hectares, and estimates suggest that they were inhabited on an average by 60 to 450 people. Now let us learn about the northern black polished ware. So here in the map it is written 700 to 200 BC, but actually the time range can be 700 to 100 ECE. So this is the time period for the northern black polished ware, and it is a very important pottery tradition in the Indian subcontinent. It is also a wheel-made deluxe pottery. It is made on fast wheel and has a distinct metallic sound. The shining, the very important thing about the nether, it is known as polished ware because it is polished so well that the surface of this pottery shines. एंड जो ग्लॉस है उस पॉटरी के ऊपर, जो उसके सरफेस पे जो शाइन है, इट वॉज क्रिएटेड सो ब्रिलियंटली that will shine even after 2500 years. That shine has not faded. So the common shapes of the potteries are bowls, we see dishes, we see miniature vases. There are approximately 1500 sites of the northern black polished ware culture in India. The main excavated sites, let's see if we can locate them in the map. So the main excavated sites are Amravati in Andhra Pradesh. Here is Amravati. Then there is Prabhas Patan in Gujarat. So this is the Prabhas Patan site. Then there is Ropar in Punjab. There is Hastinapur. Here Atranchi Khera. We have Shravasti. This is also in Uttar Pradesh. So these are some of the important northern black polished ware site. So northern black polished ware was first reported. The first site from which we find this type of pottery is Saranth in Varanasi. So this is the first site from which we find this type of pottery. So near here, this is Varanasi. Near here, there is a site named Saranth in which we find archaeologists first found the northern black polished ware in 1904. During the excavations at Takshila, the excavators believed that this pottery was a Greek black pottery because जो ये ग्लेज सिरामिक है जो इतना शाइन करता है, it was very popular in the Greek culture. It is known as northern black polished ware because most of the sites are found in northern India. We find that this type of pottery is not just in black color, it is found in different colors, but black is the predominant color. Like most of the pottery styles, we see the color black, and that is why it is known as the northern black polished ware. This pottery, as we know, this is the photo. So you can see the shine that still exists. So it has a shining layer on the outer surface and black color on the inside. There are different types, there are different categories of this pottery. So the first type of category has bowls, and there is a second type of pottery which has thin fabric and plates are made up of the northern black polished ware. So it is mostly a tableware. So what we mean by tableware, matlab objects such as bowls, plates that are used in that are put on the table for dinner, matlab household objects were made from these type of pottery. So now let us learn about the northern black polished ware culture. So this culture is related with extensive use of iron technology in the Indian subcontinent. This is culture is also associated with the second urbanization. It has settlement patterns, coins, agriculture, animal husbandry, art and architectures, and we see trade activities also in this period. Also, there are so many reasons why the northern black polished ware is associated with the second urbanization. So ये वो सारे reasons हैं क्यों हम कहते हैं कि this phase also reflected the phase between 700 to 100 BCE. It is also a phase associated with the second urbanization क्योंकि इस समय पे जो ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशन है it was increasing, and we see that there is a transfer, there is a shift from smaller to bigger settlements. Some of the earliest punched mark coins. Some of the earliest punch marked coins are associated with the northern black polished ware. A standard measurement system had come into existence for fair trade and commerce, and Buddhist literature mentions increased trade activities and formations of different trading groups. So, why, if there is a question, why the northern black polished ware is associated with the second urbanization, there are many reasons. There is an increase in population बढ़ती है, settlements का area बढ़ता है, पंचमार्क कॉइन्स इस पीरियड से दिखने लगते हैं. देयर इज अ स्टैंडर्ड मेजरमेंट सिस्टम, weight and measurement system, so that trade can be carried out easily. We see increase in trade activity. There are extensive trade activities, but still the major mode of subsistence is agriculture and animal husbandry. The people here, they practiced multiple cropping, so they cultivated more than two crops in a year. We see canals and ponds were used for irrigation. What were the grains that were cultivated? So rice, wheat, barley, pulse, and mustard. These type of grains were cultivated. In this period, we see a rise in आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट एक्टिविटीज. सो बहुत सारे टेराकोटा फिगरिंग्स जैसे एलिफेंट, बुल, डियर, चैरियट, बहुत सारे टॉयज टेराकोटा के, मदर गॉडेस के फिगरिंग्स, एनिमल बॉडीज, they have been found in the form of terracotta figurines. They have been found in this period. Excavations at some sites have revealed that the towns in those sites were very well planned. So how do we know? People lived in rectangular houses. तो घर थे, they were rectangular. जो घर की bricks थी, they were baked bricks. And हमें soakage pits and ring wells भी दिखते हैं. And we see that there is drainage of water, and for drainage of water terracotta pipes का इस्तेमाल किया गया है. So they had well planned houses, well planned towns in some sites, not all the sites. Some sites we see these well developed town plans, and we see drainage also. So terracotta pipes were used for the drainage. So why northern black polished ware is important? Because this culture marks the formation period of the Indian culture. It forms the base for the development of urban centers in corresponding areas. So is period से we see the starting, the beginning of the second urbanization. So now let us look at the urbanization in the Ganga Valley. So these are the characteristics of the northern black polished ware culture. So we see canals and ponds were used for irrigations. क्राफ्ट एक्टिविटीज में बहुत इंक्रीज है. हाउसेस एंड टाउन्स जो है वो वेरी वेल प्लान्ड है. देयर इज अ ड्रेनेज सिस्टम. पंचमार्क कॉइन्स इस पीरियड से दिखने शुरू हो जाते हैं. एग्रीकल्चर एंड एनिमल हस्बेंड्री was still important. And we see that the sites of the northern black polished ware, we see extensive use of iron technology, and especially a rise in agriculture implements that were made up of iron. So now let us look at the urbanization in Ganga Valley. So before हम urbanization पढ़े, let us see what is a city. So cities and towns make an area urban. So the difference between urban and rural is rural sites will have villages, urban sites will have cities and towns. So when Gordon Childe wrote about the urban revolution, we learned about the urban revolution. So when he wrote about the urban revolution, he proposed that there are 10 characteristics, 10 criterias. अगर एक जगह पे ये सारे 10 criterias मैच करते हैं, then उस जगह को हम एक urban city कह सकते हैं. We can call that place as a city. So what are these 10 characteristics? Big settlement size, craft specialization, centralization of surplus, monumental public architecture. There is social stratification. We see development of writing. There is some kinds of science, conceptualized and sophisticated art styles. There increase in trade, including interregional as well as long distance trade. Then there is social organization beyond kinship. So these are the characteristics that makes a city. So the above theory of Gordon Childe is largely based on surplus theory. So Gordon Childe says that surplus production की वजह से we see a development in the ruling class, stratification and other traits of the city. So in Gordon Childe theory focus जो है वो surplus production पे. So there is surplus in the society. तो वो surplus जो manage करता है, when the surplus management is become centralized. How does a surplus management become centralized? When there is a ruling class who controls the surplus, who owns the surplus. Then because तो रूलिंग क्लास और जो भी सोशल हायरार्की जो भी डेवलप होता है, इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ सरप्लस प्रोडक्शन. सो गॉर्डन चाइल्ड फोकस्ड ऑन surplus production. So this was Gordon Child's theory. Then there is a Marxist historian known as D.D. Kosambi, and he associated iron technology with the advent of urbanization in India. So Gordon Child said that because there is surplus, that is why we see this development of, a ruling class who controls the surplus, who makes these cities, they commission these extravagant art projects and public structures. ये सब ruling class के commission पे ही बनेंगे. Not, it's not a everything is very centralized. It is a city. So he says that main focus is surplus. But D.D. Kosambi's main focus is iron technology. तो he is saying क्योंकि iron technology का development है, इसीलिए इंडिया में urbanization उस टाइम पे आता है. He find that. And what is he saying to support his iron technology theory? He's saying that iron के जो tools है, they were used to clear the forest in large amount. So जो forest clearing का वो movement चालू हुआ तो forest clear in a large amount iron tools की वजह से ही हो पाए. So iron tools की वजह से forest clear हुए तो लोगों के पास अब ज्यादा लैंड था फॉर ग्रोइंग एग्रीकल्चर. अब ज्यादा लैंड है तो फॉर ग्रोइंग क्रॉप्स. सो अब ज्यादा लैंड है तो देयर विल बी मोर सरप्लस. So it goes like D.C. Kosambi's theories goes like says iron tools led to clearing of the forest. Clearing of the forest made large land area of land available for agriculture. अब लैंड ज्यादा है तो ऑफ कोर्स प्रोडक्शन भी ज्यादा होगा. प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा है तो सरप्लस पड़ेगा, लीड टू सरप्लस. फिर सरप्लस की वजह से वी सी द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ cities. So this is D.D. Kosambi's story. Iron technology. It focuses on the iron technology. So he's saying that एग्रीकल्चर ग्रोथ हुआ, लैंड मिला लोगों को ज्यादा, तो उससे एग्रीकल्चर ग्रोथ हुआ. एग्रीकल्चर ग्रोथ हुआ तो अर्बन सेंटर्स दे स्टार्टेड emerging and ruling class also started emerging. Now R.S. Sharma argues that forces of production release sufficient surplus production for the rise of a class-based and state-based society. He explains that surplus production gave rise to social hierarchy that emerged from the Varna system in India. So R.S. Sharma, like Gordon Child, is also focusing on surplus. So he's saying that क्योंकि they had more surplus, so distinctions in the society became very visible. We see the Varna system, the caste-based society where the Kshatriyas were the warrior class, the Brahmins were the priests, the Vaishyas, they cultivated the land, the Shudras, these different types of distinctions. एक रूलिंग क्लास एमर्ज होता है एंड वी सी द सोसाइटी बिकेम मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स, एंड दैट इज व्हाई there is so much complexity in the society that it can be called as an urban center. Now A. Ghosh made a point that surplus cannot be accumulated and utilized in the absence of state. So he said that for even if there is surplus, it needs to be regulated. If it cannot be accumulated, अगर कोई state या कोई authority नहीं है, then the surplus cannot be accumulated. So he emphasized that state was more important than the surplus. And then comes M.K. Dhavalikar. So what does M.K. Dhavalikar says? M.K. Dhavalikar is saying that urbanization, he is giving his own definition of urbanization. According to him, urbanization में there is large population, agriculture is very strong, there is trade, and there is skilled craftsmen. So the centralized power structure only functions as a binding force. So what M.K. Dhavalikar is saying is a little bit different than A Ghosh. So M.K. Dhavalekar is saying that centralized जो power structure है, जो state है, it only binds these type of these type of people or these type of activities. It only act as a binding force. But while A Ghosh is saying that centralized the state plays an important role because it accumulates the surplus. So now we learn about the second urbanization in the Ganga Valley. The second urbanization happened because there is a rapid growth in population. So population increase हो जाता है. Agriculture agriculture production increase हो जाता है. We see surplus and now the agriculture can support the increasing population. Agriculture becomes diverse. So different types of grains are being cultivated like cereals, barley, pulses, wheat, rice. We see that iron tools certainly boosted agriculture produce and they assisted in feeding a large population. So iron tools not only helped clearing the forest but they helped in increasing the production as well. So can iron be marked as a prime mover of this process? So this is the question. Okay, agar iron tools were this important, so can we say that the main reason for second urbanization in India is because of the advent of iron tool technology? We cannot clearly say that because this is still a debatable questions. Some will give, like Didi Kosambi will give importance to iron technology, but other will give A Ghosh will give importance to the state, where some will who will give importance to the surplus. So it is reasonable to assume that अकेले आयरन की वजह से सेकेंड अर्बनाइजेशन नहीं आता है. देयर आर डिफरेंट फैक्टर्स जो हमें कंसिडरेशन में लेने चाहिए. सोसाइटल रिस्पॉन्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर टेक्नोलॉजी. So iron technology developed, but how society responded, how society decided to use it is also plays an important role. What were the resources that were available at that time also plays an important role. So there are various reasons why second urbanization emerged in the upper Gangetic Valley. Different reasons. We learn about that in the next lecture. That is it for today. So there are some questions that I am going to ask, and if you know the answers, you can write in the comment box. So can you tell me the theory given by Goddenchild, A. Ghosh, Didi Kosambi, Dhavalikar, different theories that are given by these different historians about how the urbanization and why the second urbanization emerged in India. So this is the question. Can you also mention the 7 megalithic types of burials that we learned? What are those 7 megalithic types? And the different pottery cultures that we studied in these lectures. So there are approximately 1, 2, 3, 4. Four major pottery cultures that we studied. So can you name all of them? So if you can write in the comment section. That is it for today. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.